What's good, everybody? You are locked into the OneShot podcast, powered by Music Hypebeast, the largest independent multimedia broadcast platform for creators and artists in the game right now. Tonight, I'm sitting down with Rimanist, an independent force coming out of the hip-hop universe. This is where we tap into the real story, the grind, the doubt, the sacrifices, the small wins, the big L's, and the sound that makes their name ring different. My name is April Harley, aka Gigi Max, and I'm the power host tonight for the OneShot podcast. And we are super honored to be illuminating the creative genius of Rimanist on our show. The OneShot podcast is syndicated on iHeartRadio and Pandora, so this energy is traveling everywhere. All right, let's start the show. Rimanist, we are so honored to have you on our platform. Peace.
Yo, what up, though, man? Honored to be on the platform. But first and foremost, shout out to you for that intro. Come on, nah.
Well, thank you. I mean, it's only right for you, though. You're a special king, so I'm excited to be having this time with you to do a little deep dive into who you are, So welcome. Right before we get started on the One Shot podcast, we are going to play a nice little blurb from our partners over at the Look Who TV. 1 second, for without them, where would we be? So with us collaborating with Look Who TV, we'd like to give a word from our sponsor. Let's get it. And we're back. The lovely voice of Jonathan P. Wright behind the Look Who TV. So let's jump in. You ready, Rimanist, for this deep dive?
Yeah, let's get it.
All right, let's start at the origin. When you kind of did music, but then it turned into like music is my life. This is like eat, sleep, and breathe this. Start at the core. When did that kind of change and flip the switch for you when it was like music and then turn into the music is my life?
Man, it's crazy. It all started, honestly, what was it? Back in middle school. So back in middle school, we used to get around all in the lunch table. Everybody surround the lunch table or the classroom desk, whatever, if we clowning. My boy Jay Woods, he'd be on the pens making the little beats on the desk. We'd be freestyling a whole classroom session to the bell ring. You know, at that time, it was just all fun. I let music go here and there, time passed, but some way I always found my way back to music. So, that was definitely a blessing. As life, progressed, high school and everything. High school, I started to take it a little bit serious. Music became honestly a form of therapy for me, a form for me to release, express myself. So, the more in life that I went through, the more I was able to create and share my message in the hopes that, you know, one song might help somebody someday. I've had the blessing to receive DMs, emails, and even in person people telling me how one song or the other has actually helped them through a hard time or stuff of that nature. So it's pretty dope. My first international record, my first track that went international was Hold You Down, and that was 2011. You know what I mean? So that's when I was like, you know what? Why not? I feel like I'm gonna be doing music my whole life. I love music. I love the creation process. You know, let me, really get into it. Then I met Jonathan. Shout out to Radio Pushers.
Hey.
You know what I mean? They got in my corner and we've been working ever since. I've had the honor to work with people like Mims. I had them featured on Crossroads. Go check it out. Had the honor to meet Drummer Boy, DJ Khaled, travel to LA. It's been dope, and I'm glad I did take that time to really think and reflect. Like, all right, let's just do it. Let's just go for it.
That's what's up, man. That's what's up. Now you mentioned international. I know that was probably like a super highlight for you when you're like, whoa, other people outside the country rock with me. Can you tell us a little bit about where you're from? I know you are doing the Detroit area and you're like in between Baltimore. So tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. Born and raised in Detroit, Michigan, 313. What up? You already know. You know, lived there, moved out to the DMV area. Shout out to the DMV in about 2018. They've been showing mad love. Been rocking with the DMV out here ever since. You know, hey, I ain't gonna lie. I gotta show love to all the other states that's been rocking with me that I done visited. Like I said,
Yeah.
L.A., Miami, Atlanta for sure. You know, I love touching down in Atlanta. Real talk. Houston, we on the way. You feel me?
Yes, Houston is pretty big. I'm sure we'll be like on that same plane pretty soon. So I look forward to what we're going to collaborate there. Okay, so you had the B box and the lunchroom table. So you came from there. I remember those days too. So I know you had probably either a composition book or a spiral notebook for all your rhymes. And from that moment, you kind of chose this lane where some people say, quote unquote, 95% don't make it in this music world, in this industry. What did you have to accept in your head about failure or being slept on or any uncertainty before you really committed to this path?
Honestly, it was a point in my music career. Like I said, reflection is a big thing for me with everything that I do. And I had to ask myself, all right, if I don't make a dime
Mm,
from creating or making music, if I don't get one play, one view,
mm,
what is it all for? And reflecting upon that, it came to me, a while back. It's like, at the end of the day, what do I want to leave on this earth? What is my legacy going to be? You know what I mean?
mm,
I love creating, I love making music. So if I'm going to continue to make music, what legacy I want to bring? What legacy I want to leave? Excuse me.
mm, mm,
So, and that's why a lot of my music, from back in the day to now, a lot of it has more of a powerful, motivational, encouraging type energy and aura to it. And of course, spitting knowledge in it. You got to spit some knowledge in it, because I love to drop jewels,
mm,
especially jewels that I didn't have when I was young. So if you get it from a track you rocking with, that's even better. Blessings. Do your thing, dog.
Okay. Okay. Now you spoke of a dime. You said if I don't make a dime from this, I know that, what is this to me at the end of the day? They say that independent life isn't cheap. Can you talk about a real moment where the money side may have made you fall back from music, or what type of mindset or hustle or even support system that you had and that made you not quit?
Definitely, definitely. I got plenty, but a major, you know what I mean? Life be life, you
That
feel
sure
me?
does. Absolutely.
But I got plenty, but one major, major, major one, which was another milestone and staple in my music career, is I had major back surgery. So with major back surgery, I couldn't work. I'm still healing technically, so this is about 2 years ago. So I couldn't work, et cetera, and everything that comes with that. So being independent, you gotta invest in yourself. It's the most important thing. I don't care if you're doing music, baking, you know what I mean, t-shirts. You got to invest in yourself, and music investment ain't cheap. I ain't gonna hold
Mhm.
you.
Mhm.
So I had a choice. All right, I could just let it all fall to the wayside, or I can reach out to my networks, my circle. And your team is very important. Keep your circle small, because everybody don't want you to win. You know what I mean?
Okay. Yes.
So I reached out to my team back home, Vital Records. Shout out to Vital Records all day. We rocking. Um, so they was helping me get through it, cooking up beats for me,
Mm.
still telling me and pushing me, even though I was in pain 24/7. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I'm still in pain 24/7. Can you imagine just waking up in pain?
I did not know that. And I'm watching how you operate and move, and I'm just like, that's shocking. I mean, you really just, you would never know, you know?
Yeah, yeah. Hey, we all got a choice in life. Either we can let life take us out, or we can, take every situation that we got or whatever circumstance we in and make the best out of it and keep moving. My
Right?
motto is one step at a time. Just keep moving.
Okay. One step at a time. I love that. I love that. And as we speak about, our physical health and, just to kind of go on the mental health side of those things, because they go hand in hand. When you think about the hardest part in your mind sometimes when you have like self doubt or comparison or you don't feel lack of support, when the inner voice may talk to you crazy, what types of things you do to like reset and protect your peace? You know, like how are you taking walks or drives or meditating? How do you reset your mind and recalibrate?
Couple ways, couple ways. You know, first way, more first and foremost, is I got to give thanks to God for even waking me up in the morning. You know what I mean? Because regardless what I go through that day, you know, I couldn't have woke up. And, you
Okay.
know, what else means after that? You know, what else does it mean? You feel me? So I give thanks. Outside of that, you know, music, of course, that's always, like I said, it's gonna be my form of therapy, form of relaxation. You know, but if I got enough time, I'm jumping on that Call of Duty. Holla at me. You know what I'm saying?
I love the top three. That's it right there. My God, you got the medicine right there. That is it. That's the diagnosis.
Yeah.
That's
But other than that, you know, I got my other things. I do photography, videography. Definitely dope in Baltimore. This past weekend she hustled. You know, you
shout out.
popped in, showed up, showed face. You know, it was lit. You
Showed up
feel
and
me?
showed out.
Yeah, showed up and showed out. There we go.
Yeah,
Yeah,
you definitely did your thing for covering the media. You know, it was amazing. It was amazing. And I look forward to seeing all of the things that you brought into fruition that weekend. So we'll be posting
absolutely.
that as well. You know, speaking of your sound, because I want to jump into the media and as well, when we talk about your music and your sound, if somebody were to push hit, because you said, you know, you're healing people and people are sending you emails and texts and they're saying, yo, reminisce, like that song got me through. What is that sound? If someone never heard your sound before and hit play on your catalog for the first time, what would they hear? If you could just kind of break down your creative DNA, like the tones, the melodies, your drum choices, your writing style, what what would that be? Could you explain that sound to us?
Well, me personally, honestly, I wouldn't say it's a particular sound because I don't like putting myself in a box, if that makes
Mm,
sense. So with my music catalog, shout out to everybody that's been following me through the years, all my fans and everybody.
thank you.
If you follow every album, you actually hear my life story through it. You know, so 2018, you might get some R&B tracks from me. You know what I mean?
Okay.
When you used to maybe the club joints that I used to do. You
Mm-hmm.
know what I mean? But other people might be used to the conscious joints. You know, like I said, it's just all about putting who I am, you know, what I'm going through in my music, leaving that legacy behind and a story that, you know, not only I can follow but behind, but, you know, kids if I have them,
Yeah.
you know, family, you know, anybody and the generations to come.
Okay, I love it because you said it's like one day at a time, one sound at a time, one song at a time, and you're an amazing storyteller. So I love that, you know, we get to witness your journey as we listen to your music. We know exactly kind of where you are at that moment, and so we kind of relate a little bit more. So when it comes to feelings over streams, and you mentioned this a little earlier when you said if I didn't have one like or one view, right? What am I doing it for? And I love that you said that. When people listen to your music late night, they're in their room or in their wherever they are on a long drive, out with the squad, what do you want them to feel? And if you could name one song from your catalog that best delivers the feeling that you want people to have when they listen to you.
That's a tough one. I got a
Yeah, it
couple
might be too
joints.
many, right? And then I'm thinking of Time's Up, so it's a lot.
Yeah, time's up. Now
Mm.
that's my jewel, latest jewel that's out. You know, we're gonna go with times up. We got to do it. We got to do it.
It feels so relevant right now.
Absolutely, yo. You got a great ear, by the way.
Thank you.
So times up, man. That was the point. Actually, last year, that was the point where it's like, all right, either I'm gonna put some more gasoline on the fuel,
Hmm.
and we gonna go, or we not. So I like to give myself sometimes a time limit. you know, to put stuff out. Because if I don't, I'm going to sit on it, because I'm a perfectionist, like to tweak stuff. You know how creative is.
Yes, the blessing and the curse.
Absolute. So, what? I'm like, all right, let's go. We're going to keep moving forward, like I told you, one step at a time. So, while making that song, that was when I headed to LA for the first time. Paramount Studios, you know what I mean? Stopped by the rooftop, so off rip, it was on go already. You know what I mean? And a big part of that was my experience through, I told you I was recovering from surgery,
Hmm.
having to make those decisions of, all right, how much make passive money, how to get more bread in the crib without having to physically do it. You know what I mean? So just maneuvering. So I got into things like stocks, IRAs, research, everything like that. So if you listen to the track, you'll hear me telling people, invest in the trust fund, LLC. You can write off them lunches, them business trips. You know what I mean? It's about being you and building your brand like you want to, but being smart about it and making your bread for
Hmm.
things that you do.
Definitely. You definitely drop the gems and educate, and it's intentional. You can tell. So thank you for sharing that. I was banging out to that song today for real because, like I said, it's timeless. Because time's up just means like right now. Like what's no better time than now? Do it scared. Do it. Afraid. Just do it. Hate to be like a Nike commercial, but it just felt like that. The time's up. We got to do it now. As far as, yeah, it's a dope song. As far as your real life, because like you said, you're going through your journey and you share that with your listeners and your fans. Could you pick one song from your discography that's the closest to your real life, like your everyday walking? If you could paint the scene for us, with that song, what was happening at that moment when you wrote the song, who's involved, what were you going through? But that song that kind of hits hard with who you are today or just as a person at your core.
Yeah, absolutely. One of my personal favorite songs is called Perception.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe, yeah, so they go, maybe they look at me different because I'm on grind and straight business.
Mm-hmm.
Target on lock, we gonna get it. Target on lock, we gonna get it. And that
Ooh.
says it all basically, because at the end of the day, it's all gonna boil down to the perception people have of you, how you dress, how you look, how you talk, how you act. At that time, honestly, and still now, I'm gonna still be me regardless. You know what I mean? So whatever whoever perception is of me, it's just what it's gonna be. It's still all love. But regardless, like I said, I still got to keep moving. You know, it's always gonna be negative with the positive.
For sure. Absolutely. Absolutely. Now, with that negative and positive throughout your journey, if we were to kind of look at your life and your catalog as a movie, what would the storyline be from your first release to the latest drop of Time's Up?
Woo.
You know what I mean? Where are you right now too in that movie? But just kind of walk us through. Walk us
Okay, okay. So we gonna go back. Let's
through. You
see.
might as well take it back.
All right. So we're gonna first one. Let's see. First commercial joint was a conflicting emotions.
Ooh, that was Vital
That,
Records at that time, right? That's when you just
yeah,
yeah.
that was crazy. That was a good album, but it was a tough time during the end of the album to finish it. So I was
Mm.
definitely in college, having my great time. I used to throw parties and everything, buses, people out to different venues. So, I got my party songs like Poet Cup. I did some songs with Polo Frost, strip club joints. So I was living my best life. You know what I mean?
I hear you.
So, it go through that phase, but later on, towards the creation of that album, I lost my older sister. She was my only sibling. So that was the song that ended that particular album. So it was a real tough time for me to get through.
Mm-hmm.
Progressing on to the next album, in between, we got DVR Dreams versus Reality. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Okay.
Cool. But I can't forget. Hold You Down was dropped. It was on
Mm-hmm.
Conflicting Emotions, the first international. So, I got it. Man, like that was an experience. But
Okay.
we gonna keep going.
Okay.
So, dreams versus reality, trying to figure out life. Like, all right, what do I want? Young cat, all right. I'm
Mm-hmm.
done partying, college life. All right, I want this, this, this. What I got to do to make it happen? Type ordeal.
Gotcha.
So connected with more producers. Like I said, my team back home in Detroit, Vital Records, back home. We've been rocking for years, so we got through that album. It's so many, so I'm gonna just fast forward a little bit.
Okay.
So we through that phase. The Perception album, that was during my moving phase to the DMV.
Mhm.
Shout out, like I said, shout out to the DMV. They've been showing me
Right?
mad love out here.
It's blazing in the DMV. Like I feel the energy. Seriously.
Yeah, yeah. So the Perception album, that was during the George Floyd and everything. So that was a real intentional, conscious album. A rough time for everybody. That's when Perception came out. The track that I mentioned earlier. So like I said, that's definitely one of my favorites. Fast forward a little bit more to the next album, No Days Off. So No Days Off was during the process of surgery on my injury and surgery. And I labeled it that because, you know, idle mind is a wasted mind. I always say
That is
sometimes, you know what I mean? So I chose to put everything that I did have in me during that tough time into that album. Made some bangers. Check out Fiendin'. People ain't hip to the Fiendin'. I'm trying to
good.
tell you.
You gave me a Jodeci vibes. I'm gonna listen to it immediately.
Okay, appreciate it. Um, Yeah, so No Days Off was, like I said, just the whole recovery process,
Hmm.
going through the ins and outs,
Yeah.
just trying to get enough energy to get up in the morning, just to live.
Yes. Keeping
Yeah,
you
yeah,
staying strong
yeah.
through it all too.
Yeah, but now, we back to present,
Back to present. I like how you said that.
back, back to present. Like I said, no days off, you know what I mean? That's when it was just like I said earlier, it was just like time to go. Like, if I'm gonna do it, let's go. But what's next? What I gotta do next?
And
What I gotta
time's up.
learn?
So you got to do it now.
Yep, yep. Because tomorrow, like I said, tomorrow is never promised.
Exactly. Now, could we get, now you might not know or you might not want to share this, but is there a plot twist now that you've kind of caught us up to speed of your journey? Is there something we should be expecting romance wise or just any plot twist that we could think of? Some type of, I don't know, anything for like what's coming up next for you that maybe your audience and fans don't know or it might blindside them?
Let me see. Let me see. It's I always got something up my
You said that.
sleeve.
You said you always got something, so
So I've been cooking a little bit. If you don't see me on social media posting, I'm cooking. Just know that.
okay.
I got a new single finna drop. It's called By Any Means. I got back together with my boy InShot and Quater. That
Okay.
was on my On Go single that's out. That's still going crazy. Everybody go check that out. So we got some fire coming. Definitely videos in the studio, content coming. A couple states we hitting this year. Like I said, Houston on the map. That time we gonna be out there, We
Mm-hmm.
got some work to do in Chi-Town. I think I'm supposed to pull back up in LA at some point this year. You know what I'm saying? I'm gonna take a couple trips out to Richmond, see what's up too.
Okay. All right. So you have a whole agenda and calendar, and it's just starting. We're only a couple weeks into the year, so this is awesome.
It's just to be in it. And there's more. There's
Oh,
more. Look,
wait,
I
there's
told you.
more. Okay.
For those that's aware of my clothing line, you know what I mean. I've been doing
Mm,
a lot of new styles, rebranding, unrestricted takeover apparel for my clothing available on Amazon. Go check it out. But the main thing I'm excited about is my new shoe styles and shoe brand I got coming out called Unrestricted All Italian Leather. You know, the real deal Holyfield.
I love it.
So definitely big things coming 2026.
Man, unrestricted footwear is important. Like, for us to be able to walk this path and walk on our journey, we don't need to be restricted. So I love
Hey,
that you have a whole shoe line and it's unrestricted. This is what's up. Do you have that on Open Wave as well? Or are you planning on
I
putting
do.
it on there?
I do have some hoodies available on Open Wave and some shirts, more apparel coming soon.
All right. I love it. That's what's up. Thank you for that. Now, I have a question about something you brought up again. I just keep going back to it when you said if you didn't have one follower, one view, nothing, right? When we're comparing your identity, like your self identity, who you are to the algorithms, and numbers are so big, right? In our industry, it's like gonna try to, it tells people it, how it, your worth, your value, So who are you without the streams, the views, the followers? How do you remind yourself that you're bigger than whatever the metrics might say this week? How do you remind yourself of that?
I remind myself of that is at the end of the day, I know I always want to be me, regardless how much bread I get, how much bread I don't get. You know what I mean? What I do, what I don't do. You know, I made a promise to stay true to myself. You know, and who I am. You know what I mean? I ain't trying to stress. I'm just trying to live the best life that I can and provide the best life that I can. You know, and that's the end of it. We're having a great time and networking at the same time, man. You know, turning up. That's just what it is at the end of the day.
That's what's up. That's what's up. Now your fans and your community engagement, you have a lot for the people. So, and the fact that they kind of hit you up one on one just to tell you, I rock with your clothing brand. I rock with this song. This one healed me, Rimanist. Thank you. So, when you think of your audience, what kind of people or tribe do you kind of want to attract, and how are you intentionally building that community instead of just chasing viral moments? How are you doing?
The type of audience that I just want to attract is just people that genuinely like good music,
Mm,
you know, and not just music about anything, but music that actually has some substance, you know, some context and content to it. Like I said, at the end of the day, I can make, you know, songs about partying all day, clubbing all day, shooting up the block all day. You know what I mean? But and what is it really giving back to? No shade to nobody, you know, that's doing that thing.
right,
Shout out,
right.
much
This is
love.
your journey.
You know, it's just not the path and the legacy I want to leave behind.
Okay. All right. And then if you could within this journey go to a moment that was maybe a little painful and you kind of shared through, your back injury, those types of things. And it doesn't have to be this, but a painful experience you do want to share, or if it's that one, how did you turn that pain into a playbook? What happened and how did it change the way you move as an artist or as a person in general?
Um, let's see. Outside of the back surgery, I would say losing my sister, my older sister,
Okay.
and during my early phases of just playing around with music, having a good time, you know, she was the one encouraging me. You know, keep doing it. Like you got something, so don't stop. No matter what people say, don't pay attention. Just keep grinding, keep at it, and you got something special. You know, so having her not here with me, you know, that motivation, you know, it did deter me for a little while, but at the same time, it fueled me more than anything. The words that she left with me, just keep going no matter what.
I love that. I love to just take a moment to remind you too, because I think sometimes, and a lot of us, most of us have experienced a loss, but when I went through something similar with my grandmother and my aunt, it was like all of a sudden I was reminded through random things that they were actually like not gone. And so I love that you just said she fueled you, because that's what it's like. It's like the blood still runs deep. Physical form is what we can't see, but when you experience that spiritual level of, no, my sister's with me. I may not be able to see her, she's right there. And I love that you recognize and embrace that fuel, because it's so powerful. So powerful, that spiritual world. Are you still
Absolutely.
there? All right, taking a moment. What's your sister's name? We just took a moment for her. So.
Candace Wilson, appreciate you.
Wilson. All right. Shout out to our heavenly sister, Candace Wilson, who continues to fuel all of this. So I love that. I do want to ask you one of the final questions about our One Shot podcast. We have to ask, if this was your one shot to talk directly to the world about who you are as an artist, what's the core message you want people to remember about you after the music stops?
Well, that's a good one. At the end of the day, I guess the message I want to leave about me, um, behind the curtains, behind all the good things, social media and everything, I'm just a normal person from Detroit, hustling, trying to make it, trying to turn nothing into something. And at the end of the day, you know what I mean? I want everybody to keep on pushing. If I can be an example, keep on growing, whether you go through surgery, whether you go through losses,
Mm-hmm.
you know, every decision can either make you or break you. And just know, for me, hopefully it's motivation for everybody else. I'm going to keep pushing no matter what. And I hope everybody else do. And I'm going to drop the jewels that I can as I learn and grow. I'm trying to help them learn and grow too.
I appreciate it. And may that growing evolve. Can you let us know where we can find you on social media?
Oh yeah, oh yeah, oh yeah. On Instagram, you can find me at YourKeeper09. So YOURKEEPER09. And I know people wondering, the reason I went with that username was because at the end of the day, no matter what color, what race, what gender you is, we are all each other's brother, sister, and keeper. You know what I mean?
Yes, that's what's up. I never understood that. So thank you for breaking that
Yeah.
down. Okay.
Absolute. But also, if you want to just Google me, just type in my artist name, Rimanist, and you'll find everything you need, from articles written
Mm-hmm.
to new music dropping to exclusive little content. It's a lot going on. Check out my clothing line again. I'm everywhere. We turning up. You feel me?
That's what's up. And let us know a little bit more about your multimedia firm as well.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. Definitely check out my multimedia firm. It's called Unrestricted Visions Multimedia. We do everything from videos to photography to graphic design. Whatever you need graphic wise, talk to us. We travel. Hey, let's work.
Let's work. And you were definitely working last weekend in Baltimore with the She Hustle ladies. Shout outs to DJ Duke and Little Crow, just everybody who made that experience so dope. And thank you for being such a great part of that and being able to bring your vision to life. So we appreciate you so much for that. Any last words, anything that you want to leave the people with?
Man, what I'm gonna leave the people with is, for 2026, let's show up and show out, everybody.
I
Just
love
like
it.
that.
Okay. All right. Big love to Rimanist for tapping in with us on the One Shot podcast, powered by Music Hypebeast. If you're rocking with his energy, make sure you follow us on Instagram at The Music Hypebeast. That's TheMusicHypebeast. Lock in and subscribe to Music Hypebeast on YouTube, Twitch, and Facebook so you don't miss any episodes, live streams, or exclusive drops from independent creators all over the world. I am one of the power hosts of the One Shot podcast. My name is April Harley, aka GG Max. Music Hypebeast is an interactive division of Radio Pusher, powered by our parent company, Servo Media Group Incorporated. This is the One Shot podcast, where independent artists get their one shot to tell the real story behind the music. Thank you again, Reminisce. Peace and love.
Peace and love. Let's get it.